Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Our mission here is, well, it's pretty simple. We want to give you, the listener, a concise and thoroughly researched shortcut to understanding the forces shaping the economy.
Right. We're not just reading headlines. This week, we've gone deep into the reports and features from Addis Fortune, Ethiopia's largest English weekly.
And we have a fascinating stack of material. It connects some seemingly disparate dots,
It really does. Everything from the price of Christmas decorations in Addis Ababa to the struggles of major commodity exchanges and even the stability of the financial sector.
That's it. We're trying to extract the common economic DNA running through these stories.
Yeah.
How are rampant inflation, these persistent regulatory conflicts, and the never-ending foreign exchange crunch actually playing out on the ground.
We're looking for the friction points.
Exactly. The friction points that are defining economic life for everyone right now. Okay, let's unpack this.
So where do we start?
I think we have to start at the consumer level, because sometimes a simple seasonal story can reveal the deepest structural divides. We're looking at holiday spending.
And how the cost of Christmas decor in Addis Ababa has it's exposed this growing fault line.
It's created two distinct economies, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Those who can maintain tradition at any cost, and then those for whom that cost is now just completely out of reach.
And what's fascinating here isn't just the high prices themselves. It's how these items, these discretionary consumer goods, they function as these perfect indicators of macroeconomic distress.
Because they're all imported.
Almost entirely, which means their price directly translates the birr's depreciation and that hard currency scarcity into, well, sticker shock.
And the sticker shock is, it's very real. The reports detail that a full-size 2.4-meter artificial tree can cost up to 150,000 birr.
Wow.
Yeah. Even the small half-meter versions are fetching 4,000 birr, and some strings of lights can run you up to 15,000.
I mean, you're talking about luxury items now. For a lot of families, that's squarely in the six-figure territory.
And this is where that economic stratification becomes so starkly visible. The newspaper captured it perfectly in the perspectives of two different consumers.
Okay.
So on one side, you've got Eleanor Tesholm, a mother of three. For her, maintaining this imported tradition it's non-negotiable for her kids.
And she's willing to spend.
She's spending over 120,000 birr on a tree this year. She sees the price rising, but she's just pushing through it.
And on the other side,
You have Malewa Chito, a private company employee, father of two. And for him, 120,000 birr tree it's utterly unjustifiable.
that's half his annual salary, maybe.
You could easily wipe out half his annual earnings,
Yeah.
His priority is shifted entirely to essentials. He's budgeting 27,000 birr just for a sheep for the holiday,
And that's up from last year.
up 7,000 birr from last year. So this is a story of forced prioritization.
And you see that shift in the market itself. Vendors like Samuel Woldehoria noticed a clear trend.
A move away from those huge, expensive artificial trees,
That's
right?
right. Exactly. A move toward the more affordable and, frankly, more culturally significant gurgim.
And for anyone listening, gurgim are the traditional, handcrafted Ethiopian nativity scenes.
Right. They aren't reliant on imported parts, so they're resilient to this Forex crunch. It's a return to a more meaningful tradition, but it's driven by absolute financial necessity.
But here's the counterpoint, and this shows the polarization. Customs records confirm that importers still brought in over 62 tons of Christmas decorations in 2023.
So someone is still buying.
A lot of someone's. While the broad middle class is pulling back, there's this persistent, expanding urban and corporate clientele still spending hard currency on these luxury imports.
So the market isn't just contracting, it's splitting.
It's segmenting into two distinct economies. One is shielded by dollar access, and the other is just defined by the birr's weakness.
That's the key takeaway. I mean, the struggle for foreign currency affects the price of a Christmas light, sure, but it absolutely crippling the institutions responsible for generating those dollars in the first place.
Which is a perfect transition to part two, the macroeconomy. Specifically, the challenges facing Ethiopia's two foundational export pillars, coffee and oilseeds.
And here, the friction is less about family budgets and more about regulatory handcuffs and institutional decay.
The export sector is the country's engine for hard currency. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the reports detail how critical institutions are struggling.
And struggling because of conflicting policy mandates that just undercut their own viability.
Let's start with the Ethiopian Commodities Exchange, the ECX. The numbers are pretty sobering.
They are. A 22% drop in revenues over 3 years, a shrinking membership base.
And coffee exports down 29%. And the root of the problem, according to the ECX leadership, is the Ethiopian Coffee and Tea Authority setting weekly fixed prices for export coffee.
Okay, but hold on. If they're trying to stabilize the market and guarantee earnings, why is setting a fixed price causing the ECX to fail? You'd think some control would be good in a volatile market, right?
That's the core question. But it gets to the heart of how an exchange is supposed to function. The ECX CEO, Mirja Beissa, he argues that this fixed pricing system just makes the platform unattractive. It destroys the incentive for
transparent price discovery.
Exactly. Price discovery.
Yeah.
The whole value of an exchange is its ability to reveal the true market price quickly.
And when a regulator sets a fixed price, it just removes that function. It forces the ECX to sell coffee at prices that are often lower than the actual real-time market value.
Which pushes buyers and sellers right off the platform.
Right. They move towards simpler, direct trade where they can transact at a price that actually reflects quality and demand.
And this isn't just some internal squabble. The Federal Auditor General, Deseret Damty, has actually backed up the ECX on this.
That's a big deal.
It is. She's arguing that the fixed pricing system violates the law and is urging Parliament to review the authority's mandate. That points to a serious institutional conflict.
And yet, the authority's Director General, Adugna Debella, he pushes back hard. He insists the ECX's struggles are due to its own weaknesses and market changes.
He argues their prices are set flexibly, benchmarked internationally.
But the market's actions traders literally leaving the ECX, they speak volumes, don't they?
They do. And as experts like Zatwork note, even if they fix the price-setting issue, and the Trade Ministry is reportedly looking at it, traders are already comfortable in those other markets.
So the ECX needs more than just a pricing fix. It needs a huge structural overhaul to get its members back.
Okay, let's pivot to the oilseed sector. We see a different kind of gridlock here.
Right, exemplified by the sharp decline in sesame export volume. It's down over 40% in 5 years.
And here the friction is this desperate clash between exporters trying to survive and the state's desperate need for hard currency.
And the authorities have responded with a clampdown. State Minister Abdul Hakim Mulu confirms they're inspecting warehouses.
And they found an estimated 90,000 tons of sesame chest sitting in storage.
So the government is trying to force this stock onto the market by imposing minimum price floors.
Yeah, from 750 to 1,200 birr a ton, basically to coerce a release.
But this really highlights the exporter's dilemma, doesn't it? As described by people like Edo Abdi and Ephraim Demissi.
It does. They buy products at high local prices, driven by domestic speculation and cost of living.
But then they go to sell internationally, and they realize the global market price is way lower.
So they take a massive loss.
Exactly. So rather than take that immediate loss, they hoard the stock, just waiting and hoping for the international market to recover. It's a risk avoidance strategy.
And that's the tragedy of it all. The systemic failure here is the lack of sophisticated financial tools, like hedging or forward contracts, that would let exporters manage this risk.
So they're forced into this loss avoidance hoarding cycle, which only makes the country's foreign currency problem worse.
And there's a physical cost, too. Yeshua Zadame points out that prolonged storage of oilseeds, especially sesame, actually reduces the oil content.
So it damages Ethiopia's key competitive advantage, which is quality.
Right. So while exporters are waiting for a better price, they are actively diminishing the quality of the very product they need to sell.
It's a classic tug of war where both sides lose. The country loses vital foreign currency now, and it risks losing its quality reputation later on.
So we've covered consumers. We've covered commodities. Let's shift now to the friction points in urban life and institutional finance. And first, this incredibly frustrating regulatory roadblock facing ride-hailing drivers in Addis Ababa.
This is such a perfect example of rapid technological adoption just completely outpacing infrastructure and regulation.
And these drivers are operating in a legal gray zone that is costing them dearly.
Dearly is an understatement. Drivers for Ferez, Ride, Little Ethiopia, they're getting fined up to 4,000 birr.
Just for brief stops, we're talking seconds long, to pick up or drop off a passenger.
And the official stance is just so rigid. The Traffic Management Authority classifies them as private vehicles, not public transport.
So no special privileges, no designated stopping areas.
None. And the traffic police head, Aber Beissa, he sees any drivers lining up as an attempt to create an unauthorized terminal.
So they just find them immediately. Think about how absurd this is. Daniel Shifra, a BYD electric taxi driver, he's been fined more than a dozen times.
How much does that cost him?
Over 13,000 birrs in penalties in just 10 months. He got hit with a 4,000 birr fine last week for just stopping to let a customer out.
Because he has nowhere legal to pull over.
Exactly. It's regulation by penalty.
And the policy gap is massive. The city's development focus has been on mass transit trains, big buses.
Which leaves this huge app-based sector with what, 100,000 to 135,000 drivers?
Operating without a viable legal framework or the infrastructure they need, like pullover zones.
We know the Transport Bureau is drafting new regulations, but right now, drivers are facing financial ruin without any viable alternatives. It's a systemic failure.
Okay, so for our final story, we're going into the financial sector.
That's right. The country's sole reinsurer, Ethiopian Reinsurance SC, or Ethio Re. And here we see the direct impact of macro foreign exchange reform on a major financial institution. The results are astonishing.
The shock to Ethio Re is colossal. Their paid-up capital has declined by a stunning 68%.
68%. And this contraction is a direct consequence of the foreign exchange regime changes from July 2024.
And just so you understand what that means, a foreign exchange regime change in this context is basically an adjustment to how foreign currency assets are valued on the books.
Likely a revision of the official exchange rate.
Exactly. It moves closer to the parallel market rate. And because Ethio Re holds assets and liabilities in foreign currency, this accounting change just dramatically reduced the birr equivalent value of their capital base overnight.
A 68% drop is catastrophic for a balance sheet.
It forces an urgent need for recapitalization.
And the irony here is just so rich. Despite this enormous capital erosion, the company recorded a robust profit before tax of 616 million birr. That's a 45% increase.
So they're profitable, but fundamentally unstable. That's the tension.
Right. They're making money from their core insurance business.
But the core challenge, as their strategy officer Fikru Teskay notes, is the inability to settle obligations with foreign reinsurers because they can't get hard currency.
Their inability to service international contracts threatens their entire operation, no matter what their domestic profits look like.
So management is desperate. They're proposing crucial measures, requesting special directive access to hard currency, petitioning to open the insurance industry to foreign investors.
Letting dollar-denominated equity flow in.
Right, and planning to raise paid-up capital to a massive 5 billion birr. They're trying to solve a systemic forex problem with policy lobbying and a huge capital drive.
But is capital enough?
Well, experts caution it isn't. Ethio Re has a fair financial strength rating, a BB from AM Best, but they argue technical capacity has to improve for Ethio Re to actually replace Africa Re as the treaty leader for the domestic market. They need expertise just as much as they need capital.
So whether we are talking about a 4,000 birr fine for a taxi driver, the decline of the ECX, or this massive capital drop at Ethio Re, the same thread just runs through every single story from Addis Fortune this week.
Absolutely. It's the defining economic characteristic, isn't it? This constant conflict between centralized, heavy-handed regulation and the fluid dynamics of the market.
All of it exacerbated by the foundational scarcity of foreign exchange.
From the smallest consumer import to the largest financial institution, that hard currency crunch just creates economic misalignment everywhere.
It creates a situation where institutions like the ECX get hollowed out because the rules just remove their fundamental purpose price discovery.
And essential services like ride-hailing are paralyzed because regulators have failed to integrate them into the legal structure.
Precisely. If you look across all these reports, you see a market that is just desperate for flexibility, clashing with a regulatory system focused on control.
And often without understanding the market consequences of that control.
So here's the final provocative thought for you to consider this week. Given the structural challenges we've talked about, the decay at the ECX, the hoarding cycle in exports, the friction for ride-hailing drivers, what specific institutional and procedural reforms, beyond just adjusting prices or increasing fines, are fundamentally required to make Ethiopia's crucial domestic market institutions truly competitive and resilient against global market shifts?
That's the enormous challenge facing policymakers right now.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the recent features from Addis Fortune. We hope this provides you with the crucial context behind the headlines.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.